Coming with group na. Hey, Boxen! Do you live in America or Vietnam?
America.
America. Where?
New York.
New York? Oh, wow. Nice city, huh? New York. Crazy expensive.
I don't live in the city.
Oh, wow.
Country.
Countryside.
Countryside of New York.
शाम का मिठाई 165 130 दिन का मिठाई 85 और दीना
लो मिला आग बुरा तो देता इधर लो Nhâm đi xe nhỏ.
My name camera, please.
Xe mà chở xương đi rồi mà.
The mountain charge of the Mahabodhi Mahavihara. Mr. Doji, the secretary of the Bohgaya Temple Management Council.
Translate that book. I also I read one letter to permission, but I didn't get permission, no. I translate.
No, we didn't ask the letter yet. We can answer now. I think it's okay. Of course.
Very nice book in Sri Lanka. It is very popular. Siddhartha and Buddha. There are many new things. They are Sri Lankan Buddhist people. They are very happy. They also translate to Sri Lanka. I
Send us the letter again. Please send us the letter again. We will reply this time.
Our birthdays, that's all. Now they are new things, many new things. Young people, they are very too much like that.
And the Buddha in the book is more accessible
Yeah,
to the young people, not too far away,
yeah,
more human.
yeah.
That is compared to the
All the readers they said they are thinking that we are reading the book. The Buddha is going with them. All the people they are telephone to Sri Lanka. No?
They will tell the one who gave Dr. Modi the book. I think Dr. Will tell
Yeah, I gave.
Bhante, you think that Mr. Modi can do the same?
No one thing. Huh? No. Now he is not more president of the Maharashtra India. अभी president नहीं है. He can't. He is trying to do those things, but they takes more than I know, more than 25 years. That period I was in library in Sarna, more than 25 years.
Why can you not make?
There are many things. No?
His heart is not on that.
There are many things.
So many people are waiting for that.
No, he can't. Many people they protested regarding Buddha, but not success. No.
Do you have a solution, Bhante?
Hmm?
Do you have a solution
Solution
for the film?
I can't understand. That nobody can do. No? But film can do anything. No, Bollywood. But regarding Buddha, it is not possible. Since Dr. Rahul was in Sorbonne University, he discussed about those things. many times. And Anandamaya Devante, Rahula Bhante, we discussed many times. Some Sony company also.
What is the Sham Bengal?
He is also trying to do, no?
They speak like it is IPT.
I heard he went to Sri Lanka. He is preparing village like not so easy. The character is not like Jesu who Allah like that, no. The character is different. So you can see that all part white clouds. It's very nice. Like this English, Hindi translation, third class. One Pandit translate, no. There are many mistakes, many things. And inside the Modi, in Modi I saw, I don't know what the sound that.
We are going to redo the Hindi translation.
Which part?
The whole part of that.
They had, no, we had.
Yeah, but we are going to redo it more.
But that's Hindi translation is not so good.
We are trying to improve it.
No. It's not popular in India, no. It is right, very nice way. We are popular in Buddhist, among the Buddhist people, Hindu people, no. But all part white turns is popular among all the people.
It's very popular. Hindi one is selling very well.
Yeah, the English one is not very popular.
Also, Hindi doing very well. But it can improve. We can improve also. We will
The Hindi one you must create it or translate.
vô biên thân văn chúng cập nhật thiện thiên tiền nhị cởi quang minh đại quá ư vô biên giới vô biên phận độ trung thọ dùng tác Phật sự tôn chư chúng sanh giải phát bồ đề tâm viễn ly chư vọng hiểm biên thành vô thượng đạo. Nam mô hương cúng dường Bồ Tát Ma Ha Tát.
toucher la terre 30 fois. Et après, vous descendez tout ça.
Mole baro chimato begal vese geshu de mata gadara wo ye ge de da jo dan wa ga ma jik de dong bo se de de ba me bur ko ni ma ta ge ja yo gon ko ni ko ga ye dai bu ni ma se ma cha ga se je ma la cha ge de ni ge ne ni se ko do ma cha ye je de yo ye limbo dembo no ge ma cha ga de ma je ma je ma nya de je ye ma so am de ge de dik ba chen bo je ma ye ma cha ga ko ni ko ga ge ga le ma ge ma yi.
It's okay, it's okay. I'll just follow you. What's the lead?
छन्त शुद्ध वर ज्ञान लोचनो लोकस पाप पकिलेश घाट को वन्दामि बुद्धं अहमादरेण तम् बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि. May I request all of us assembled here to put our palms together in the heart center and bow in veneration of Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, one of the best known and most respected Zen masters in the world today. Apart from being a Buddhist teacher, he is also a poet, peace and human rights activist in his own right. It is most fitting that we assemble here at the Mahabodhi Mahavihara in Bohgaya, one of the holiest places sanctified by Lord Buddha. It is indeed a very appropriate time when we have all gathered here to spend this day of mindfulness under the guidance of the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh and to get ourselves strengthened in the benevolent teachings of the Enlightened One and help the entire humanity to benefit from practicing the universal and non-sectarian teachings of the Buddha. These united efforts will help to bring real peace, real harmony, and real happiness in this world suffering from sectarian conflicts, communal disharmony, and intolerance. Many people in many nations are now readily accepting the Buddha's universal teachings, and there is a growing interest in the teachings of the Enlightened One, particularly in the West. This means the time has come for those already benefiting from the Buddha's teachings to work hard with unity to enable more and more people to benefit from the teachings. Such a beneficial assembly serves to unite those walking on the path shown by the Buddha on a common socio-cultural and spiritual platform. In a world tossed in storms of suffering and conflict, the teaching of the Buddha shines brightly as a benevolent beacon guiding those seeking a way of conflict and misery. According to the Master, by practicing mindfulness, we learn to understand ourselves and to be intimate with ourselves, how to deal with anger, jealousy, and trauma, how to nurture the best qualities in our children, spouse, and friends, and how to face grief and our own death and the death of our loved ones with compassion and equanimity. Practicing Buddhism, practicing meditation is for us to be serene and happy, understanding and loving. In that way, we work for the peace and happiness of our family and our society. If we look closely, the three gems are actually one. In each of them, the other two are already there. In Buddha, there is Buddhahood, there is the Buddha body. In Buddha, there is the Dharma body, because without the Dharma body, he could not have become a Buddha. In the Buddha, there is the Sangha, because the Sangha attended to the Buddha, and the Buddha himself, in turn, attended to the Sangha, his disciples. Buddha Sasana cannot become real without the life and body of each one of us. Hence, it is very important that we, the lay people, practice the noble teachings of the Buddha and thereby enrich the Buddha Sasana. It is delighting to note that the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh is accompanied with the Mahasangha consisting of a number of senior monks and nuns from all over the world who are all ordained dharmacharyas and senior teachers of the community. Master is an octogenarian and has emerged as one of the greatest teachers of our time. Since his days in Vietnam, he has been a leading proponent of engaged Buddhism, a way of life and a spiritual practice that works actively in the world to relieve suffering. In 1982, he established Plum Village, a larger thriving retreat center near Bordeaux in France, where he has been living and continues teaching, writing, gardening, and helping the needy worldwide. He has received recognition for his prolific writings on meditation, mindfulness, and peace. He has published over 85 titles of accessible poems, prose, and prayers, with more than 40 of those works in English. Considering these facts, indeed, is a great opportunity for all of us to have the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh amongst us at the sacred site where the prince of the Sakya clan attained supreme enlightenment. It is a sacred place of pilgrimage, a unique center of Buddhist learning, and the most ancient seat of the Vajrasana, and a symbol of enlightenment, sublimity, serenity, and compassion. Bohgaya is a name to conjure with in the history of human thought and culture. On behalf of the Mahabodhi Society of India and the International Buddhist Council of Bohgaya, which consists of members from all the different Buddhist temples, monasteries, and institutions established in Bohgaya, we extend our heartfelt warm welcome to the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh and his delegation and the members of the Ahimsa Trust, New Delhi, to this holiest of the Holy Land, Bohgaya. We also wish to appreciate with sincere gratitude the untiring efforts of Dharmacharya Shantam Seth, our Dhamma brother, ordained by the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh for making this day possible. Each year, during the pilgrim season, Dharmacharya Shantam organizes 3 to 4 pilgrimages in the footsteps of the Buddha, visiting the sacred sites associated with the life and teachings of the Buddha, and practicing meditation and sharing teachings and stories. We warmly welcome him and his wife Gitanjali and his Dhamma friends, and hope they will all cherish this day, being with their master and the Sangha at the sacred site. We thank again the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh for his gracious presence here today, and we all look forward to immensely benefiting from this day of mindfulness through his invaluable guidance. May all beings be happy. I would now request Dharmacharya Shantam Seth to speak a few words on behalf of the Ahimsa Trust.
Dear Sangha, dear friends, it's wonderful to be here, as Kiran says, to be with our teacher and our Sangha. I would like to thank particularly a few people who made this possible. I would like to thank the Mahabodhi Society of India, particularly the monk in charge here, Bhikkhu Shivali, and General Secretary Revata Thero. I would really like to thank Kiran, who has been a good friend and for many years, and who I felt was very capable of putting all this together while we were in Bohgaya. Other friends like Venerable Sumati, also known as Kabir, many other people, Venerable Mr. Doji, who was the General Secretary or the Secretary of the Mahabodhi Management Committee, they've all come together to help us on this journey and to arrive in Bohgaya. Of course, the Buddha himself arrived here 2,500 years ago, and that's why we are coming in his footsteps. Each time I walk here, I feel that this is sacred land, and we are really stepping in his footsteps. I came here as a child many times. I used to live quite close in Patna, and then I came to a social activist as a grown-up. I lived in a village quite close by to here, and it was a very poor village. They had no food. We used to drink water, which is after the roots were boiled. It is a village called Mastipur, which is doing better now. And it was only 20 years ago when Thich brought me here, and really introduced me to the tree as a spiritual ancestor, to the Buddha as a human being. And really, I came in touch with what my own wisdom culture of India was. In India, we've always believed that if we practice, we can attain liberation. It is not up to somebody else necessarily. And Thai showed us how the tree was the one who practiced with the Buddha. And so in that sense, that lineage continues to today. I like the symbol of the tree very much, and today we sit under the Bodhi tree again, the tree which, the original tree has died, many of its descendants are there, but new branches come, like the branches I see many of the audience today are from the Western countries. It's like a new branch of the Bodhi tree. Some branches die, and new branches come, and it's up to us how to cultivate those branches and what direction we want to give that branch. The Buddha himself spent 7 weeks here, and we may have an opportunity this afternoon or early afternoon to go to some of the sites associated with the 7 weeks of the Buddha's life here. And one of those weeks, the Brahma Sampati, maybe his own internal thought process, wondered whether he would teach at all. And Brahma comes to him and says, please teach. And he said, oh, it would be so wearisome to teach. I mean, he said, oh gosh, it would be so tiring because the whole world is going the other way. And people will not understand my teaching. And Brahma Sampati says, well, there's some people with only a little bit of dust on their eyes, and please do offer the teaching, because if they don't, they will suffer in misery through their lives. And out of compassion, the Buddha then says, okay, I will teach, and let the doors of deathlessness be opened. And in that same tradition, I'm very grateful that Thich Nhat Hanh is teaching tirelessly, really tirelessly, not just for these 37 days in India, but for 40, 50, 60 years of his life, out of great compassion, out of great love for all of us and all sentient beings. So I'm very, very grateful to Thich Nhat Hanh for coming, for the Sangha to accompany him. And very briefly, I'll just tell you what the program is today. We will receive a teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh now. We'll finish by about 11:15, so that many of the Theravada monks have lunch by 11:30. So we will be invited by the Mahabodhi Society of India, which is about, when we go out of the gate on the left, we'll be shown for lunch. We'll come back here at 1. For those who want to, it's optional. We'll have a sharing, especially the pilgrimage Sangha traveling with Thich Nhat Hanh. We will take you to the sites around this place, if you'd like to walk to the sites and share a little bit more about the history of the place, or any other questions you might have. And then we will have a deep relaxation right here at 2 o'clock, and then touching the earth, which is a form of prostration of 5 touchings of the earth, which will be led by a senior venerable, Chang Kong. And then we'll be doing walking meditation around, taking 3 circumambulations around the stupa, around the Mahabodhi temple, ending with a small candlelight offering. So that's the proposed program for today. It'll start with a small release of a book by Revatotero, the General Secretary, who's translated Old Path White Clouds into Sinhalese, and he would like to offer it to the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. So please enjoy the day. We are here in the day of mindfulness to be free where we are. Just be free right here, right now. Thank you.
Before we begin with the day of mindfulness, we have a book release of The Old Path White Clouds, authored by the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. It has been recently translated in Sinhalese language by Venerable Dr. D. Revat Mahathero, the General Secretary of the Mahabodhi Society of India. I would request the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh to release the book. I would request Venerable Dr. D. Revat Mahathero and Venerable P. Sivali Thero, the Bhikkhu in charge of the Deputy General Secretary of the Society, to come forward. Bande, you want to come? would also like to present a memento, the replica of the Mahabodhi Mahavihar announcement for all our devotees here. We have the toilet just behind you. You can use that toilet. There's toilet space outside also.
Good morning, Venerable, dear friends. We shall begin with a few minutes of chanting. Chanting and listening to the chanting is a deep practice. When we have some energy of mindfulness and concentration, we can touch the source of peace and compassion deep inside of us. And when we listen with mindfulness and concentration, we can also touch the peace and the compassion deep inside us. The practice is to allow ourselves to be relaxed. We enjoy sitting. We bring our attention to our in-breath and out-breath. We allow our body to relax. And the collective energy of the whole Sangha to penetrate into ourselves. We don't have to do anything, just allow the energy of the Sangha to penetrate. If we are tense, and then that will be difficult. But if we are relaxed, and then this is possible. There may be a lot of tension and pain and stress in our body. And if we know how to allow our bodies to be relaxed, the energy of the Sangha will penetrate, embrace the tension, and help release the tension from our body. And we may feel better after a few minutes of listening. If we have some fear, anger, or pain in our heart, we may like to open our heart so that the collective energy of the Sangha could penetrate and embrace tenderly that pain, that sorrow, that fear. And we will get a relief after a few minutes of practice. And if we have someone in our family who suffers now, who could not come today, we might also send this energy to him or to her by thinking of that person, calling his or her name silently, and then the collective energy of the Sangha will be channeled to that person right now. And at home, that person will feel relief. Don't have to do anything. We just allow ourselves to be fully present here and relax. And the energy of the Sangha will do the rest. Because if we are relaxed, we are mindful of our in-breath and out-breath, we contribute to the formation of that energy that is very healing, nourishing.
sera de ce côté-ci, avec notre ami qui lève le... Vous voyez, puis alors, mais... Para los que necesitan traducción en español, cerca de Rosa. Translation in Italian is here.
Dear Venerable, dear friend, the day of mindfulness is a day of practice, and that day can be very nourishing and healing. Right during that day. During the 40 and in the West, we have offered many days of mindfulness, a little bit everywhere. People come in the morning and spend time with each other for the whole day to practice, to be with each other. And the practice must be pleasant, joyful, so that it can be healing, nourishing, right when people are practicing. We have helped set up many groups of people in the West, many countries. There are big groups and there are small groups. We call them communities of mindful living. Communities of mindful living, small sanghas. And sanghas like that are set up everywhere in Europe, in America, and so on. In London, there are about 10 groups, 10 sanghas. In New York, very much the same. And each week they organize one day of mindfulness. They come together and they spend the whole day together practicing sitting meditation, walking meditation, listen to a Dhamma talk, eating mindfully together, having a session of Dhamma discussion or tea meditation, and so on. It's very joyful, very nourishing, very healing. And of course, when there is a monastic that can come and spend a day with them, they will be very happy. But we don't have enough monastics in order to offer to the so many sanghas, thousands of sanghas like that in the West. We in France, we have a Plum Village, a practice center, an international practice center. Several hundreds of monks and nuns and lay people live together. And we offer many retreats of mindfulness where people come from many countries. In summer, we have a 4-week of practice called summer opening. Summer opening.
And people are encouraged to come at least for one week. 1 week is the minimum. And they can bring the whole family to Plum Village and practice. Because we do have programs for the young people, even for children. And it is possible for children, young people to practice mindfulness. And they enjoy it. Very often it is the children who urge their parents to come to go back to Plum Village because they like to be in Plum Village. In Plum Village, their parents are much more peaceful, gentle, and the children, they know that. And about 50 countries are represented in Plum Village during the summer opening. So people come from many, many countries. We have translation, equipment, we gave Dhamma talk in French, English, but people come from 50 countries, so that is why we have to organize so that the Dhamma talk can be translated simultaneously into many languages. And then we also go to many countries to offer retreats of mindfulness that may last 5 days or 6 days or 7 days. And one day practice is called a day of mindfulness. And that is the minimum people can afford. And transformation, healing, reconciliation always take place in our retreats. The Dhamma, the practice of the Dhamma is very effective. It can bring fruit right away during the retreat. And couples, like husband and wife, father and son, mother and daughter, they can reconcile during the retreat and bring back happiness. The teaching and the practice are very practical, down to earth. They address the real suffering, the real problems, the real difficulties of our daily life. And with some training, a person can organize a day of mindfulness and bring the joy, the happiness to so many people. You attend one day of mindfulness, you know what it is about, and you learn how to organize like that. Together with a few friends, you can organize a day of mindfulness for 50 people or 100 people. And you choose a place where you can spend a day together. Usually we have one Dhamma talk. The Dhamma talk is not to give you ideas about the Dhamma. A good Dhamma talk is the kind of talk that can water the seed of understanding, compassion, and joy in you. Every one of us has the seed of joy, forgiveness, compassion, understanding, and hope. But these seeds are not watered very often. They water the seed of anger, fear, craving. They don't water the seed of hope, the seed of joy, the seed of forgiveness, the seed of non-discrimination in us. So a day of mindfulness must have a good Dhamma talk. And the good Dhamma talk is the kind of talk that has the power to touch, to water the seed of joy, compassion, understanding in us. You may ask, what do you mean a good Dhamma talk? Because a Dhamma talk can be full of information about the Dhamma, but they only touch the intellect. They cannot go down. So that is not a good Dhamma talk. A good Dhamma talk is a kind of Dhamma talk that can go down very deeply and touch the seed of understanding, awakening, peace, hope, and joy in us. A Dhamma talk, a good Dhamma talk is like the rain. The rain can penetrate deeply into the soil and touch the seed in the soil. And then the seed can sprout and come up. So a good Dhamma talk is a kind of talk that can touch off the good things in every one of us. Otherwise, it's not a good Dhamma talk. It can be a Dhamma talk, but it's not a good Dhamma talk. And if you are a Dhamma teacher, you are encouraged to give, to offer such Dhamma talks. Even if you are not a bhikshu, bhikshuni, a monastic, you can also give a good Dhamma talk. You are a Dhamma teacher. If you can touch off the seed of joy and compassion, understanding in another person, well, you are a real Dhamma teacher. Even if you don't have the title Dhamma teacher. So a Dhamma talk is very important. After having listened to a Dhamma talk, we feel much better already. We are not overloaded with ideas and notions about the Dhamma. We feel that we are lighter, we are happier after having exposed ourselves to a Dhamma talk, like the soil exposed to the rain. If you use your intellect to receive the Dhamma talk, you risk preventing the Dhamma talk to go down to the depth of your consciousness. So, listen to the Dhamma talk. We should not use our intellect. We should not compare. We should not discuss in here. We just allow the Dhamma talk to go right in and deep. We should not be thinking or comparing, because thinking and comparing is like using a sheet of nylon to receive the ideas, and it prevents the rain of the Dhamma to penetrate. So there is an art of giving a Dhamma talk, and there is an art of listening to a Dhamma talk. And we should learn the art of giving a Dhamma talk, the art of listening to a Dhamma talk. The intellect is not everything. Even if we receive a lot of ideas and notions, that does not help us to suffer less. And then there are good Dhamma talks that have been recorded. If you don't like to give the Dhamma talk, you can select one good Dhamma talk that is already recorded, and you offer that Dhamma talk to the whole Sangha, including yourself. So everyone can organize a day of mindfulness and use a good Dhamma talk given by a good teacher. The second thing we do in a day of mindfulness is to sit together as a Sangha. And to sit in such a way that peace and happiness and lightness and joy become possible during the 20 minutes we sit together, or 25 or 30 minutes, depends. We should learn how to sit on a lotus flower. That means if you're light, if you release, if you're peaceful, we feel that to have the time to sit there without doing anything is wonderful. And sitting become a pleasure and not hard work. If you suffer during the time you sit, that's not good sitting. Every moment of your sitting should be nourishing, healing. And it is possible to sit like that. You don't fight. You don't work your body too hard. You don't struggle. You allow yourself to be sitting like the Buddha on a lotus flower, completely free of tension, stress, completely free of even efforts to fight. And sitting like that is really like sitting on a lotus flower. Many of us, most of us, do not have the capacity to sit like that. We sit not on a lotus flower, but on a heap of charcoal, burning charcoal. We don't have peace while sitting. As soon as we sit down, we want to stand up to do something. There's no peace. So we learn how to sit like that, and sitting like that can be very nourishing, very healing. I remember when Mr. Nelson Mandela came to France and visited the President of France, Mr. Mitterrand. The press asked him this question: Mr. President, what do you like to do the most in South Africa? And Mr. Mandela said, well, what I want to do the most, just sit down and doing nothing. Since I was released from the prison, I was so busy. I didn't have the time to breathe, to sit down and do nothing. To sit down and to do nothing. That is sitting meditation. To do nothing, and yet you get a lot of peace, a lot of joy, a lot of transformation. But to sit down in such a way, you need some training. You need some training. Otherwise, you cannot sit like the Buddha on a lotus flower. You'll be sitting on a heap of burning charcoal. With some training, yes. And if you know how to be with your in-breath, now-breath, how to enjoy breathing in and out, how to release the tension in your body, how to smile, how to be in touch with the wonders of life that are available inside of you and around you, and then sitting can be joy, can be happiness. But if you don't know how to do that, the sitting may become a hard labor. So in a day of mindfulness, we spend some time sitting together and feel the strength of the Sangha, the presence of our brothers and sisters in the practice. That can be very powerful, nourishing and healing. You don't need to sit a lot, but to enjoy sitting and feel the powerful energy of the Sangha that support us in our transformation and healing. And then in a day of mindfulness, we also practice walking meditation. It means that we walk together and we enjoy every step we make. Each step should be healing, transforming. Each step should bring a lot of joy and peace. And this is possible because most of the people in the world, they They cannot walk like that. They are always running. They run into the future. They are looking for conditions of happiness in the future. The Buddha said, it is possible to be happy in the present moment. There are enough conditions of happiness. If you go home to the present moment, you can recognize many conditions of happiness that are already there. You don't need to run into the future and to seek for more conditions of happiness. Drista Dhamma Sukha Vihara. Dittha Dhamma Sukha Vihari. And that day the Buddha gave that teaching to a group of businessmen. About 500 of them, led by Anattapindika. The Buddha knew that business leaders, they think too much about the future, about their success. They don't have the time to be in the present moment. They don't have the time to take care of themselves, their beloved ones. So the Buddha gave them that teaching. Gentlemen, it is possible to live happily in the present moment. Aditta Dhamma Sukha Vihara. And that expression, living happily in the present moment, was repeated 5 times in that sutra given to Anattapindika and his co-business leaders. So when you breathe in and you make a step, you may like to say, I have arrived. I have the right in the here and the now. The here and the now is where true life is. Life is there, available. The sunshine, the green leaves, the fresh air belong to life. And all these things are available in the present moment. If you keep worrying about the future and then the sunshine, the Bodhi tree is not for you. You are lost in the future. You are not free in order to be in touch with the wonders of life that are available in the here. So you have an appointment with life, which takes place in the present moment. And if you miss the present moment, you miss the appointment with life, which is very serious. So every step brings you home to the present moment so that you can touch the wonders of life and live your life deeply. And that is the basic teaching of the Buddha, but many of us ignore. We are looking for nirvana, enlightenment, arhatship in the future. We don't know that everything you are looking for must be looked for in the present moment. Happiness, liberation, release, joy should be looked for in the here and the now. Please sit down. When we breathe in mindfully, we may take one step and we may declare, I have arrived. It means I have arrived in the here and the now. The address of life, the address of the wonders of life, the pure land of the Buddha realm. I have arrived. It also means I don't want to run anymore. If I have already arrived, why do I have to run away anymore? I have been running all my life, searching for something I call happiness. I believe that happiness is not possible now, in the here and the now. That is why I have been running to the future and to seek for a few more conditions of happiness. But now I have learned from Lord Buddha that happiness is possible in the here and the now. In the present moment, you can recognize many conditions of happiness that are already available. So recognizing them and get in touch with them, and suddenly you are happy right away. And that is the teaching of Dittha Dhamma Sukha Vihara. It's so simple. So when I make a step mindfully, I say I have arrived. It means I have go home to the present moment. I don't want to run anymore. And that step is a real revolution. It shows my determination to stop, not to run anymore. And you cannot make such a step if you don't invest 100% of your body and your mind into the step. With 100% of your body and your mind, you become concentrated. Completely mindful and concentrated. And with one step, you can bring yourself to a full stop. Because you have been running. Even in our sleep, there is a tendency to the habit energy to push us running into the future. And our parents have done that. And they have transmitted that habit energy, vasana, to us. And we continue to run into the future, searching for our happiness. So now I listen to Lord Buddha. I want to stop. And I use the energy of mindfulness and concentration as power. And with one in-breath and one step, I want to bring myself to a full stop. And I don't think that it is easy to fully stop running if you don't invest your body and your mind fully into making that step. So those of us who have not tried, may try this exercise. You breathe in one step, you breathe in, and you make one step, and you say, I have arrived. You touch the earth, you touch the ground with your foot, and you say, I have arrived. And feel whether you have truly arrived or not. You might have arrived 3%, 5%, and you think that you have arrived. No. To bring yourself to a full stop, it makes a tremendous energy in order to do so. And if you feel that you have not arrived completely to 100%, stay there in that position. Don't make another step until you arrive completely in the here and the now. And you have the luxury of doing so because you are practicing alone. In a group, don't do that because you will create a traffic jam. But alone, you can do that. You make a step and you say, I have arrived. But that is not a statement, a declaration. That is a realization. You have to really arrive completely in the here and the now. And if you have arrived, you know it. If you have not arrive to 100% in the here and the now. You also know it. So stay there until you have truly arrived. And then after you have arrived, you smile, a smile of victory, and you make another step. You say, I am home. I have arrived. I am home. Because my home is not the future. My home is now and here. Because now and in the here, all the wonders of life are available. So walking meditation is to enjoy life, to celebrate life with every step. You don't need to run anymore. You know that you can walk in the land of the Buddha right here, right now. Your feet are still strong enough. Your eyes are still good enough. And you can get in touch with so many wonders of life that are there. And walking meditation is a very wonderful way to learn how to live deeply every moment of your daily life, and learn to stop, because the habit, energy of running is very strong in every one of us. And when we walk together, 300 people, 500 people, and if we generate the energy of mindfulness and concentration, and we arrive at every step, and then the collective energy of the Sangha will be very strong. And if you walk in a Sangha like that, it becomes much easier. You allow the Sangha to embrace you, to transport you, and you can arrive, you can feel at home together at the same time with the Sangha. That's a wonderful practice, walking meditation. In Plum Village, France, where we live and practice, every day we have a session of walking meditation. All the monks, all the nuns, and the lay people walk together for 1 hour. And the rest of the day, anytime you need to go from one place to another place, you also practice mindful walking. Even if the distance is just 1 meter or less. If you need to walk, and then that step should be mindful. And everyone is doing that in Plum Village. Therefore, when you come to Plum Village, you find it very normal that you do like everyone. If you don't do, you look very different. They recognize you as a non-practitioner. So the collective energy is very important. So one day of mindfulness should include a session of walking meditation. And when we walk together, we walk with a normal speed. When you breathe in, you say, I have arrived, I have arrived. At least 2 steps. You don't want to block the traffic. So you walk normally. 2 steps or 3 steps. I have arrived. I'm home. And you enjoy every step. Every step is healing. Every step is nourishing. Suppose someone is dying. That person is going to die in 1 hour. And suppose that person wants to sit up, stand up, and make another step. Impossible. Even if he wants or she wants to pay $1 million in order to be able to stand up and make another step, she cannot. But we who are alive, who have still good health, our feet are strong, we can enjoy mindful, happy steps like that. You don't wait until that time in order to regret that why you are strong, healthy, you did not enjoy walking. So to be alive and to be making steps like that, solid, free, healing, nourishing, is wonderful. There is a Zen master in the Tang dynasty, Linji. He said that the miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on earth. To feel that you are alive and you are making steps on this beautiful planet is already a miracle. And every one of us can perform that miracle several times a day. That is the practice of walking meditation. So walking meditation is very nourishing, very healing. It brings a lot of freedom and happiness. And 1 hour or half an hour of walking together like that is a great pleasure. Then today we will try to walk together and generate that kind of energy of joy and peace and happiness. And then a day of mindfulness can include a mindful meal, eating together, and eating in such a way that make freedom, brotherhood, sisterhood, joy, happiness possible during the time of eating. Lord Buddha spent time to eat with his monks. And during the time of eating, not only they are nourished by the food, but they are nourished by brotherhood. In the practice of mindful eating, we pay attention only to 2 things. The first is the food that is brought to us by the cosmos. We practice the 5 contemplations in order to see where and how the food has come to us. And when we pick up a piece of food, like a piece of carrot or string beans or bread, we look at it for 1 second to recognize it, to recognize that this piece of food, this morsel of food, is a gift of the sky and of the earth. The sunshine, the rain, the earth has come together in order to produce that wonderful piece of food that will be nourishing you. And it needs only 1 second in order to recognize that. The piece of bread that you are holding is like an ambassador coming from the cosmos to nourish you. And then when you have recognized that, you put it to your mouth with joy, gratitude, and you chew it mindfully. And you are careful not to chew other things at the same time, like your worries or your anger, your fear. It's not good for your health. Just chew that piece of bread or carrot and enjoy that. And get in touch deeply with the cosmos, because the piece of string bean or tofu or rice is really an ambassador coming from sky and earth to nourish you. There's a lot of love. So we eat every morsel of food like that in mindfulness. And that is very nourishing not only to our body but to our spirit. And from time to time, we stop eating and we look at our brothers and sisters in the Dharma. It's wonderful to have a Sangha like this to share a meal. The Sangha is our refuge. It's wonderful. It's easy to practice with the Sangha. So the object of your mindfulness and concentration during eating is just the food and the Sangha. And when we chew some food, we should carefully, mindfully enjoy chewing that. You may like to chew it for 30 times before we swallow. That eating like that will help very much with the digestion, and we don't have to eat a lot. Because when you chew like that, all the nutrition will come out. And then a day of mindfulness may include a session of total relaxation. Total relaxation helps release all the tension in the body. And this is recommended by the Buddha. You use the energy of mindfulness to recognize every part of your body. And you send your love, your care, your compassion to every part of your body, and you relax. Remember in the Sutra of Mindful Breathing, the third exercise proposed by the Buddha is breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body. Anapanasati Sutta. Breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body. That is an easy exercise, but the effect of the practice is very big. Breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. It means that when I breathe in, I bring my mind back to my body. When my mind is not with my body, I'm lost, either in the past or in the future, or in my worries or in my projects. So breathing in, I have an opportunity. Breathing in mindfully, I have the opportunity to bring my mind back to my body. And when body and mind are together, we are fully present in here and now. And it does not take long, 1 or 2 seconds of mindful breathing, and then you realize the oneness of body and mind. The mind is back to the body. You are fully alive. You are fully available in the here and the now. It's a very wonderful practice. And then the fourth exercise proposed by the Buddha in the sutta is breathing in, I release the tension in my body. The Buddha knows very well that we have accumulated tension and stress and pain in our body. And when we come home to our body, we might recognize that fact. That is why we practice the fourth exercise in the Anapanasati Sutta. Breathing in, I release the tension in my body. I relax my body. So all these exercises are very important. And a session of total relaxation led by one member of the Sangha can help everyone to release the tension in the body. Everyone can lie down and allow their body to release the tension. And we know that when the body has a chance to release tension, it will acquire the power to heal itself. When you are relaxed, when you don't run anymore, and then your heart rate will be reduced, and your immune system will be strengthened, and your body will have more power to heal itself. You don't need a lot of medicine anymore. So these exercises offered by the Buddha are very effective, not difficult to do, but very helpful, very effective. And one session of total relaxation may last half an hour, but you feel wonderful. Even if you feel you fall asleep during the time, it's okay, because maybe your body needs some sleep. And then a day of mindfulness may include a session of Dharma discussion, or a session to recite the 5 precepts. But if we are the organizers of the day of mindfulness, we judge what we can do in such a day. I was asked to say something about freedom where you are, but I have forgotten that. I have to say something. Freedom is the foundation of happiness. If there is no freedom, the happiness is not true happiness. And freedom must be freedom from what? We speak of freedom, but we have to be precise. Freedom from what? Suppose we talk about our body, and the tension we have accumulated in our body, the tension and the pain and the stress. We want to be free from the tension. We want to be free from the stress. So freedom for the body, first of all, freedom from tension, stress, and pain. Is there any practice that can help release the tension, the pain, and the stress in the body? We have already spoken about that. The 3rd and the 4th exercise of mindful breathing proposed by the Buddha is to help our body release the tension and the pain. So freedom here is freedom from tension, from stress. And if we master the techniques of mindful breathing and releasing the tension, we get that freedom. Freedom from tension, from stress, from pain. And we give our body the power to heal. It's very important. And if you have a painful feeling, a painful emotion, like anger, like fear, like despair, you suffer. And you want to be free from anger, from fear. Is there any practice recommended by the Buddha in order to help us to be free from our anger, our fear? There must be. And if we have not learned that techniques in order to free ourselves from anger, from fear, and then we have to learn. And a good Dhamma talk should be able to offer us concrete methods in order to free ourselves from fear, from anger, from despair. In France, we learned that many young French men and women die, commit suicide every day because they don't know how to handle their despair, their anger, their fear. They are not free from despair, from anger, from fear. Each year, more than 12,000 young French men and women commit suicide. So they need the teaching of the Buddha in order to free themselves from fear, from anger, from despair. And there must be practices that help us. So when we are good practitioners, we should be able to share our practice with other people, helping them to free themselves from anger, from fear, and so on. Suppose you are in a difficult relationship with someone. You are in difficult relationship with your teacher, or your father, or your spouse, or your brother. And you have been struggling and you cannot get out of that difficulties. You are not free. There should be a teaching of the Buddha, a practice recommended by the Buddha in order to free us from that situation. We cannot talk to the other person. Communication has become impossible between us and the other person. We continue to make each other suffer. We are caught in that situation. We cannot get out. We are not free. What kind of teaching, what kind of practice that can help us getting out? We have to learn. 10 days before I left France to go to India, I received a letter from a young American, not so young. He is 33. He was in prison. He is in prison. He has stayed in a prison in America for 17 years. Since he was 16, at the age of 16, he killed 2 other young men. And he got into prison. He has spent 17 years in prison in America. And he's going to spend 7 more years in prison. He wrote to me telling me that someone has sent him 2 of my books. Peace Every Step is Every Step and The Miracle of Mindfulness. And in prison he had read these 2 books. Dear Thầy, I read Peace is Every Step and the Mindfulness of Mindfulness, the Miracle of Mindfulness. Each book I have read at least 50 times. And it brought me a great deal of relief. I suffer much less in prison now. And people were surprised to see I can survive very well in prison. I thank you, Thầy. But I still have a big problem. I hope you can help me. That is, the problem is still there. It presents itself when someone is trying to threaten me, to attack me. To defend myself is not a problem. I can very well defend myself. I know how to defend myself. The only thing I suffer is that when I am confronted by the situation where someone is threatening me, attacking me, well, suddenly rage, anger come up, and I am possessed by that energy of anger and violence in me, and I suffer because of that. I'm not afraid because I can defend myself very well. But I would like you to tell me, to teach me how to defend myself from that rage, that anger that is overwhelming me every time I feel that I'm under attack, under threat. I wanted to answer his letter, but I had to go to Germany for a retreat, so I did not have the time. So when I went back to France, I had to prepare for my trip to India. But I said, well, I have to find time in order to answer this person. So that night I stayed late and I wrote him a letter and I told him how to deal with the situation. I said, the answer is has already given by the Buddha. You should defend yourself, right? But you defend yourself in such a way that you can defend him at the same time. And the victory should be the victory of both you and him. You know, when someone is possessed by the energy of violence, he's ready to kill. And killing someone is to get into hell yourself. Because not only you harm the person you are going to kill, but you harm yourself, you go to hell. So if you know how to defend yourself, not only you can save yourself from being killed by him, but you can help save him from committing that kind of act of killing. So you help both you yourself and him. And the only way is to look deeply and to see that that person is victim of his own energy of anger and violence. When you are victim of the energy of anger and violence, you suffer. And if you don't know how to deal with the energy of anger and violence in you, not only you suffer, but you make other people suffer. You are a victim of your violence and anger, and you are making other victims. So now, your practice, my dear friend, is not only to defend yourself, but to help defend him, because he is being overwhelmed by the energy of violence and anger in him. He's only a victim. And if you know how, and then you can help him. And if you can see that he is a victim of his own violence and anger, and suddenly you have compassion. And if you have compassion in yourself, you are protected. The rage, the anger in you will not manifest anymore. You act out of compassion rather than out of anger. So try to defend yourself in such a way that you can stay alive and you can help him not to be victims of his own anger and fear. And this is something possible. Freedom here is freedom from violence, freedom from fear, from anger. And our society nowadays is full of violence and anger. If there are so many terrorists, because they have got a lot of anger and violence in them, and as they don't know how to be free, to get free from the anger and violence, they suffer, and they are going to make others suffer. And that is why cultivating understanding and compassion is the only way to transform the violence and the anger in yourself and in someone. And if you don't understand, if you don't see the suffering of the other person, it's impossible for you to have compassion toward him or her. So understanding seeing the other person as a victim of wrong perceptions, of violence, of anger, you don't react violently anymore against him. In fact, you are motivated by compassion in order to save him. You save yourself and you save him at the same time. That is the kind of victory recommended by the Buddha. The only kind of victory that we want is the victory for both. Fight a war, fight the struggle so that you can bring victory for both sides. The Israeli and the Palestinians, the Hindu and the Muslims. No one will have to suffer any defeat. So that is the kind of victory recommended by the Buddha. And that is possible only with compassion and understanding in us. So understanding and compassion is the agent, is the only kind of energies that can bring about freedom. Freedom here is freedom from fear, freedom from misunderstanding, freedom from wrong perceptions, freedom from violence, freedom from anger. And all these things we consume a lot during our day, our daily life. In our daily life, when we watch television, when we read magazine articles, when we are having conversation, we consume a lot of anger, of violence, of craving. And that does not help. So we should know the practice of mindful consumption in order to stop consuming more violence and fear and craving. When you read newspaper, you consume. And then in the newspaper, there's a lot of violence, a lot of sex, there's a craving. And if you keep consuming these kind of things, despair, anger, hate, wrong perceptions, and then you suffer, and you make other people suffer. That is why mindful consumption is very important. And then the amount of anger and fear and violence in you, you have to know how to transform. And if you don't cultivate understanding and compassion, you have no means in order to transform the suffering, the fear, the violence in you. And if you have been able to transform them into yourself, in yourself, and then you are in position to help other people to do the same kind of thing. And freedom should be our practice everywhere, every day. One thought produced in the direction of compassion, understanding, forgiveness, such a thought can be liberating. And we know that every one of us can produce many thoughts like that during the day. As soon as we produce a thought of compassion, understanding, forgiveness, we feel wonderful in our body and our mind. We feel the healing taking place. And we feel that the world is healed by our thoughts of compassion and healing. And practicing right thinking means to produce many thoughts of compassion, forgiveness, understanding. And we know each of us can produce many thoughts like that during the day. Right speech is to say something that has the power to forgive, to support, to encourage, to make the other person suffer less. And each of us can always say something like that to the other person. Whether by speaking directly to him or to her, or by writing a letter or sending an email. We can always practice right speech, speaking in the line of compassion, understanding, forgiveness. And then right action. Right action is the kind of action that has the power to support, to protect, to encourage, to save. And that is the kind of action that is characterized by compassion, understanding, and non-discrimination. And we know that each of us can perform actions like that several times a day. And practicing like that, we heal ourselves, we heal the world, and we free ourselves and the world from anger, from fear, from misunderstanding, from suffering. And that is why freedom can be practiced in prison. Even if you are locked in a prison, freedom is still possible. I have many disciples in prison. They have read my books in prison. They have practiced. There is one young man who tried to practice as a monk in prison because he has been able to read a book on training for the monks. And many people in prisons, if they have come in touch with the Dharma, they begin to free themselves from despair, from anger, and life in prison become possible for them. Transformation and healing and freedom is possible in prison. I myself have gone into prisons in order to hear Dharma talks, to eat mindfully with the prisoners, and to do walking meditation with them. And I know that freedom from fear, from anger, from despair is possible, even if you are in prison. So freedom can be practiced anywhere. Freedom from stress, from tension, from pain, freedom from anger, from despair. And that is the practice we need. And the teaching of the Buddha, the practices offered by the Buddha, all of them aim at helping us to acquire more and more freedom. And we know that the freer we are, the happier we become. So freedom, wherever you are, is something possible. You don't have to go there in order to practice freedom. You stay right here, and freedom can be obtained by your practice. Thank you very much for listening. Now, mindfulness. Any announcement? Yes, please. Yes.
Đây mọi người. Cảm ơn xuống. चाल करिए ना
I need a lot of time. I'm working with a wonderful lady who's a very close friend.